Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cup to Hook movie night. I'm a little bit early, so I'm going to crochet a little bit and give a chance for some people to come on. I will be working on the Crochet Society shawl that I showed earlier on our Cup to Hook video. It works from the top down. So this is what I am working on. You guys voted on this, and I shared that the shawl won over the bunny and the vest last Friday, and that's how much I have gotten done. So I'm going to continue to work on it while we are having our movie discussion. And I see I've got a few people on. If you will say hello so I know who's here with me. And if you want, you can tell me what you're going to be working on while we have our movie night discussion. Hey, Jen. How are you doing? We prayed for your son again earlier today. I hope he's had a great week at college and has gotten settled in. It can take some time to get caught up on videos. I know a little while ago, after my Cup to Hook conversation, I went over and spent a little bit of time on Triple C and Joe's show. Dana is having her birthday party online, so I spent some time with them. Hey, Melina, I would love to check out your channel. So everyone, we have Valina's Creative Crochet with us. And if you guys will also go over to her channel and give her a thumbs up and hit her subscribe button. Valina, I will go check it out when we get off of here. And on Saturdays, I do something called Saturday Shout Out Love Shares, where I kind of do a shout out for 8 of my subscribers and 2 podcasters that have subscribed to my channel. And then every Friday, we put the names from Saturday's video into a box. I actually have it right here. And at the end of the month, well, actually, it's the first Friday of the new month, I will draw a name from that box. And the subscriber or podcaster that I draw will get some kind of little love gift from me. It's not anything that I really will probably show live or anything, but it could be anything from a skein of yarn to a stitch marker to a Walmart gift certificate or a coffee certificate, you know, something just to say thank you. Oh, wow, Jen, I'm glad that he's finally getting settled and enjoying it. I hate that it was not easy at first. I can't imagine what it must be like for any of our kids to have to go to school this year or college or, you know, even our jobs wearing a mask. I'm sure it's a huge transition. And going to college is overwhelming and exciting and scary all in itself, to have to be facing all these other things like wearing a mask. But I'm glad he's getting settled in. Well, did everybody get a chance to watch the first episode of Longmire? That was the movie that was chosen. And after we spoke, I didn't realize there's 6 seasons. So that will take quite some time to go through. So I am just curious if maybe we would like to consider watching and discussing 2 episodes a week instead of 1, because that will take a long time to get through. Oh, thank you, Valina. Yeah, it's quite an extensive journey, isn't it? There's quite a lot of yarn to go through, but we are actually getting very, very close to the end of that journey. Definitely by the end of September. And at the end of that journey, it will end with kind of like the destination, so to speak, voyage, destination, being a tour of my entire craft room, our yarn studio, whatever you want to call it, yarn nook. So I'm excited. Oh, I see, Jen. Still has to be kind of a unique experience, because I know one of the things that I liked a lot about my classes, of course, I was, a nerd. I mean, I liked studying and I liked really learning. But I mean, even in high school and grade school, was, meeting people in your classes. And it's kind of hard to do that online. But we will continue to pray for him, Jen, that's for sure. That's what I was thinking, making the friends. I know that a lot of the friends that I still have today, and it's been, 30 something years since I was in college. A lot of the good friends that I still have are my college friends. I have a few that I grew up with through grade school and high school, but a good bit of them are my college buddies. And so I imagine that that's kind of hard. So before we get started, what do y'all think about doing more than one episode? Should we do like 2 episodes every week? And so I put a little bit more thought into this as far as like how it would go. And what I ended up doing as I watched it, I made notes and I wrote down questions. So I thought maybe we could go through like questions. Have you tried the new anniversary cakes with Karen? I haven't yet, but I'm going to get one for a challenge from Valina. I have not tried the new anniversary cakes with Karen. In fact, the only thing that I have really used with Karen is the Simply Soft yarn and the Karen cotton cakes. And I was trying to see if I had any that I could put my hands on, but I don't, not in reach. Of course, all my Karen Simply Soft yarn is up at the top there. And I just dropped my hook. Let's see if I can just raise you up. Nope, that's not going to work. Sorry, not trying to make everybody dizzy. There's my Karen Simply Soft yarn. And I don't even see my cotton yarn cakes. They might course, this is where most of my cakes are, and then right in here. So my Karen Simply Soft might be behind this Shaw on a Ball. I actually have these index cards that, and I've labeled, you know, on the cards, each shelf I call box 1, box 2, box 3, and I've got a list. So I know which box to go to for something, but anyway. So sorry about that. I hope you have a coupon. Oh, why? Are they expensive? I'm trying to bring my camera back down. Let me. Sorry, I don't mean to get in your face. There we go. You can see my Elvis blanket over here. I was showing it off earlier tonight. And if you want, oh wow, $35 for one cake. Is that the one that they're now selling that's like a big jumbo thing? Like Crystal from Bag a Day gave away like 15 of them. Is that okay? Okay, I have seen those. I saw them. It was either at Michael's or Joann's. I'm trying to remember which store I was in last. I think it was a Michael's. But yes, and here at my Michael's, they were 27. So they weren't as expensive as the 35. But then again, they could have been doing a special and had them on sale. So I do know what you're talking about. There's like several different colors in it, I do believe. So I got it all comfortable. Let me show you this, my Elvis blanket so far, or what I've added to it since I saw y'all last. And then we'll start talking about the movie. You've heard they were on sale? Yeah, they were selling it for $27. And I looked at it, but right now I have so much yarn that I don't know what to do with besides help continue giving it away. But okay. All right, so this is how the Elvis blanket is coming along. And of course, there's the bottom again. And then the word Elvis. And again, I'm making this for my girlfriend's mom. She's a big Elvis fan. And then it's hard to see it right now. And of course, this white part, I'm trying to create it so it looks kind of like a picture frame. It's hard to hold it up. It's kind of heavy. But this is the start of Elvis's face. And it's hard to see it, but this is the neck and his shirt collar. And then this right here is starting his jawline. So hopefully it will look better next week when I have more of his face done. So anyway, but I'm having a lot of fun with that. I've had to frog parts of it twice, but it's been a fun design. It's my first real big intricate blanket that I've designed myself. So I'm quite proud of it, and I'm glad I finally got to do some more on it. All right, so are we ready to start talking about Longmire? Is there anyone with us that did not get a chance to actually watch it? And of course, we're just for now talking about episode 1. Okay. All right. So let me find my questions. And is that what y'all want to do? Do y'all want to kind of do questions going through, or do we just want to talk about it? I've never done anything like this before. So, I mean, I've had, you know, friends over and we watched movies together, but I do understand, Jen, because this was my long week at the hospital. And honestly, my youngest son ended up not showing up last Friday night. So we did not do our Walking Dead marathon. So that's what my husband and I did, is we watched actually the first 3 episodes of Longmire. And then I stopped because I didn't want to get ahead. Because sometimes it's okay. He ended up coming and spending Sunday with us. And we got to work on some more renovations in the back bedroom. And we were able to move some furniture over to his house. So and then we had some time to just kind of sit. And I think we actually watched America's Got Talent together. So we still had a good day. It just wasn't Friday. It was really good. My brother-in-law actually came in and he got hooked on it with us. And finally, about 3 o'clock in the morning, he was like, I'm going to bed. So, and another reason I stopped watching too was because my husband fell asleep as well. So I have been currently watching Heart of Dixie, and I am in season 3. I'm almost at the end of season 3, and there's 4 seasons. So I stopped watching after episode 3 and went over there. So, but anyway, so he did enjoy it actually. In fact, he and my brother-in-law were pretty hooked. So, but to me, I mean, I'm not. Oh, that was going to sound kind of. I was going to say, to me, it's kind of more of that rugged guy type movie, but I don't know. I enjoyed it too. So I'm going to recant what I was going to say. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the questions, and obviously I'll probably have to fill in the answers, but hopefully everyone will be able to watch episode 2 and 3 for next week. And I'm going to grab my crochet back so that I can work on it as we are talking, and I forgot I dropped my hook on the floor earlier. All right. Have I seen the one and only Ivan? I have not. Is that on Netflix? Well, I can't reach my hook. There we go. Because I'm almost finished. Well, I have another season to go, but I'm almost finished with that one. And I'll be looking for something because I don't want to watch anything outside of the ones that we're going to be doing. So I could definitely go look into that one. But is that on Netflix, Valina? The one and only Ivan. All right. We have a couple more people who've joined us. If you want, say hey so we know who's here with us. But we're going to go ahead and start talking about the episode. And if you're just now joining us, we watched Longmire, season 1, episode 1. And for next Friday night, we will watch episode 2 and 3. Okay. All right. And Jen, I know you said it's been a while since you, it's on Disney Plus. Okay. and maybe Netflix. I love Disney Plus. That's one thing my husband and I do watch a lot of, are the Disney movies. So our grandkids will love us. Or I should say, I guess our soon-to-be first grandchild will love us. But Jen, feel free to answer any of these questions if you remember them. And Valina, since you're new with this, I'm not even sure if you knew that we were doing this. Gotcha, Jen. All right. So I hope, though, it's okay if we talk about this and it won't spoil anything for you. So does anyone remember where the show is taking place in the actual movie? It is taking place in Wyoming. And at the very beginning, it shows a little bit of the inside of his kitchen. And my husband and I were absolutely in love with the cabinets. Oh, you said you were wrong. Okay. Yep. It takes place in Wyoming. And I had written down, what do you think Longmire is about? I'll be honest, when I first saw it and just looked at like the picture title, I thought it was going to be a Western, which, I mean, my husband and I love watching the old Western shows with his grandmother, but it is not a Western. So do you remember what kind of profession Longmire is in? Yes, Jen. He's a sheriff. All right. And then I said, who were some of the main characters in this first episode? And so I will kind of, can you see me? You might have to refresh. Okay, good. I'm back. Okay. Valina, I was asking if you mind sharing where you were going on your road trip, and that we'll be praying for you. All right, so some of the main characters in this episode was, of course, Walt Longmire, who is the main character. It's obviously named after him. And then there's Vic, who is his partner, so to speak. She's a deputy that works with him. And then he had two other deputies that were in the office. And one was Branch Connolly. And Jen, if you can remember, help me out. I could not hear on the other deputy. It sounded like he was calling him Ferg. Oh, how exciting. So her road trip is a surprise. Well, you'll have to tell us more about it next week. And then they introduced Katie, who was Longmire's daughter. And then we met a guy named Omar, but we'll talk about him a little bit later because I don't want to give anything away just yet in case, well. All right. So they got a call in that there was a dead body. Well, he got the call from Vic. And, oh, I started to tell y'all, my husband and I loved the carpentry inside that cabin and on the outside, but especially it showed a shot in the kitchen of the shelves. And oh my gosh, it was just gorgeous. You know, we eventually want to retire to the mountains and live in a log cabin. And so, oh, it just kind of made our hearts just bump a little, go bump, bump, bump a little faster. So Vic calls Longmire and says that they found a dead body. And he gets there and it is not a person. Do you remember what it was, Jen? You'll relook for the kitchen. Oh, it was gorgeous. I mean, they didn't show a whole lot, but just they showed the cabinets in the background and then the outside of it, but just beautiful carpentry. It was a sheep. And so when Longmire gets there, Vic says to him, I didn't say what kind of species it was. So I thought that was funny. And then the next question I had was, how long has Vic been working with Longmire? And the answer was 6 months. And then the next question was, what did Vic do before that? And she worked in homicide in Philadelphia for 5 years. All right. When it showed at the beginning the shot of his kitchen, he made some coffee, which my husband just absolutely laughed about because he was just dumping coffee ground after coffee ground. I'm talking like big mounds. So it was some pretty strong coffee. My husband thought that was hilarious. But he touches this wooden tea box. And in the beginning, I wrote down what's in the tea box because obviously it wasn't tea because he was making coffee. But the way he touched it, you could tell that it was something more than tea, which later we find out what was in the tea box. And do you remember, Jen, what was in the tea box? And I feel bad to keep asking Jen because I know she's seen it, but it's been a while. And Valina, you've told me that you've not seen it yet. And I don't know who else is on this. We've got some more people with us, but I'm not sure who they are. Yes, Jen. So it was his wife's ashes. And later, I know I asked it as a question, but I'll go ahead and ask it now. And the question was, how do you think she died? I know, Jen, I'm sorry. I'll quit putting you on the spot. Because they don't come out and tell us how she died, at least not in this episode. However, at the very end, it shows him on the side of a road and there's a cross. So they leave us to assume that perhaps she was in a car accident. But I don't know. So we'll have to find that out. So that'll be a... Okay. Jen says that she thinks later they do. All right. Tell us how his wife died. So while Vic and Longmire, which some of them call him Walt, were walking around after they found the dead sheep, and they were looking around for evidence and just trying to see what they could see. And there were several things that they found. And I listed 3 things that they found while they were walking around. Hey, Ricola. No, don't be quiet. Hi, Crystal. So we're talking about it. So no, help me out. Don't be quiet. Um, uh, I agree with you, Jen. It's so sad to see roadside crosses. So the question was, while Vic and Walt were looking around from after finding the dead sheep and just kind of looking for evidence of how the sheep was killed, there was three things that they found. Okay. So Crystal said that his wife had cancer, but she dies with a twist, and it's revealed after a few episodes. So we'll soon find out. So, Crystal, just so you know, for next week, we're going to be discussing season 1, episode 2 and 3. If you want to refresh, or you may already know, I don't know. But anyway, so 1 was a dead body. They found a dead body. And near the dead body, they found the second item, which was a 12 gauge Mossberg, which was obviously a gun. And then the third thing they found was over in a little bit of brush. Any idea? It was a pair of pants with a belt buckle, a special belt buckle. Okay. And maybe I'm being too detailed. I don't know. But all right. So, and then I even went as far as to see if anyone remembered what kind of pants they were. And they were from Wrangler. They were Wrangler jeans. All right. So Walt finds out who the victim is. Yes, we're going to talk about that. I think Vic had a lot of fun with that. And Walt just kind of stood back and let her do her thing to find her Cinderella. And they find out who the victim is, who the dead guy is. His name is Grant. And Walt goes to visit his wife, Susan, to let her know that he's passed. And does anyone remember what Grant, this is the dead body, the dead guy, what his profession was? He was a high school teacher. And supposedly he was supposed to be off at a conference. At least that's what he told his wife. And so Vic was like, well, anyone who tells their wife that they're somewhere that they're not, that usually there's sex involved. But that wasn't the case. Does anyone remember what Grant was actually doing? He was looking for someone. Do y'all remember who he was looking for? He was looking for a 16-year-old girl named Lily. And of course, I was thinking that she was one of his students since he was a high school teacher. But she wasn't. She wasn't a student. Does anyone remember what Lily's relationship to Grant was? Yes, Crystal, she was from the reservation. She was a call girl, or that's what she was doing. That's what she'd gotten into with a friend. She wasn't his lover, she was his daughter. So he was looking for his daughter. And he had come into the police station 3 months before he was killed, asking about her. And Branch was telling Walt about it. And Walt got upset that he had never heard about it. And Branch kind of, straightforwardly told him that Vic, and I think the other guy's name was Ferg, that they were trying to handle a lot of things over the last year because Walt hadn't really been on his A game ever since his wife died. And so obviously Grant's married to Susan, but apparently somewhere 16 years prior, he had relations with Lily's mom, and so Lily was his daughter. All right. So we mentioned Omar earlier, and Walt had gone to see Omar. And Omar was a man that I guess he operates a shooting range because it showed this table with all these guns laid out, all these different types of guns. Or either he was a gun expert, but I'm assuming it was like a shooting range because that's what it looked like. And Walt was showing the bullets to Omar, and Omar was helping him identify the bullets. Sorry, I just realized I messed up on my little crochet project here. All right. All right, so Walt had a car accident. Does anyone remember what caused the car accident? Why he ran off the side of the road and actually tumbled down a hill in the car? Well, thanks for joining us, Crystal. Hopefully you can come join us next Friday night. And if after you get the kids settled, if you want to come back and we're still here. But if not, have a great night and have a great week. Since a few other people have come on, what are you guys working on? In case you missed it, I'm working on the shawl that y'all selected for me to make from the Crochet Society picnic yarn. All right, so that question was, does anyone know why Walt went off the side of the road and wrecked his car? He saw a sign, a billboard type sign on the side of the road, and it was advertising someone running for sheriff. And the person running for sheriff Valina says, I am working on the Autumn's Bounty Basket from Fall's Crochet World Magazine 2020. Well, that sounds beautiful. I have not seen the Crochet World Magazine. I'll be honest, I haven't seen them in a long time. I used to get those every month. Yes, Jen, it was Branch. So Branch, his deputy, obviously, is running for sheriff. And Walt had no idea. So it took him by surprise. All right. And when the people came and was helping him flip the car back over, there were a bunch of empty beer cans laying on the ground. And everyone assumed later on that they were Walt's, but they weren't. Do you remember who Walt said they belonged to? So as he would drive around town, he would see trash on the side of the road or in places. And so he was picking them up where people had littered them, and he was just tossing them in his truck. So they didn't belong to him. And upon closer look, and I think he might even have mentioned it, that if they looked closely, they weren't from the same, beer company. It wasn't the same beer cans. They were different brands. So, and I actually didn't catch that. My husband caught that, so we can contribute that little bit of trivia or information to him. Oh, I found this hilarious. So now we're back at the scene where they found the dead body, where they found Grant. And so this is actually kind of before they found the pants, and they were looking for bullets. What was Vic using to melt the snow? I thought this was so funny. So she was trying to melt the snow so she could look for evidence. Because when the murder happened, it was not snowing. The snow came in quite fast. And in 3 hours, they said it had covered the ground. So when the murder happened, it was not even snowing. But within 3 hours, it had not only covered most of the body, but it had covered the ground. And so she was trying to melt the snow using a blow dryer. I just found that to be comical. don't know if anyone else found that to be funny, but I thought it was funny. Yes, a hair dryer. Oh, all right. So do you? So now we're looking at. So Walt has come and he's met up with the tribal police from the Indian reservation. And was it a good encounter, or was it a little bit on the heated side? Yeah, that was funny about the blood dryer. Or hair dryer. I keep looking at this. I can't tell. I might have to pull this out a minute. I think I skipped a stitch. I am learning that this wool alpaca wool yarn does not like to frog very easily with all the fibers in it. You're right, Jen. They did not receive Walt very well. In fact, they really kind of swung a punch at him. And he started telling them about the dead body and that the gun they found was a special type of gun. Yeah, it doesn't appear that they get along very well. There's definitely some bad blood there. But he told him that the gun that they found that killed the guy, that only 3 people in the area own that type of gun, and all 3 of them live on the reservation. So he wanted to come and talk, but they would not let him. I'm really struggling to get this little piece of frog out. See how, I don't know if I can show it close enough for you to see, but see how it has all these little fibers? It does not want to pull out. And I don't want to tear it or cut it. But I wanted to crochet with you guys. So my next question was, why did the victim come into the station? And we already talked about that. He was looking for a 16-year-old girl that was missing, which turns out to be his daughter. And the next question I had was, what was her name? And yes, and you know what? I actually wrote him down as one of the main characters, and we didn't even talk about him. His name is Henry. Jen was saying that she thinks him and Lou Diamond Phillips have an understanding. And, well, you're doing good, Jen. I guess I did say it. At least I know you're listening. And Valina. So, yes, him and Lou Diamond Phillips have a really good relationship. And Lou Diamond Phillips' name in the show is Henry. And Lily is the name of the girl he was looking for. That is his daughter. So the next part goes into Longmire's best friend is Henry. And do you remember the name of the bar that he works at? I finally got it. Yay! Or at least that portion. Oh. Okay. So the name of the bar is called The Red Pony. So Walt decides to go see Lily's mom. And so what we know of Lily is Lily lives on the reservation. So that means that Lily's mom is on the reservation. And we know from the encounter with the tribal police that Walt is not welcome on the reservation. So do you remember how he gets onto the reservation to go see Lily's mom? Yay, I got it fixed. I am back in business. Jen, this is the first time I have used anything. Well, I think this is actually even the first time I've used anything with wool in it. But it's definitely the first time I've used anything with alpaca in it. I'm going to say it right yet. So it is definitely an experience. And that's the first time I've had to frog any part of this, which is probably just an indication that I wasn't paying close attention. I got to a point where the stitches didn't look right, and I thought, well, maybe I just skipped one from the row before. And so I was just going to kind of, adjust it. But no, I had come to the end and I was working on the end. And anyway, so Henry puts him in the bed of his pickup truck, and Longmire, or Walt, rides into the reservation in the bed of the pickup truck. And so they go to Lily's mom's house. Now, I paused the show and I rewound it and listened and rewound and listened, and I could not determine what Henry called Lily's mom. It was either May or Meg, but I could not make it out. But so they go to see her, and I thought it was funny because before Walt even showed his face, she knew. She was upset with Henry. She's like, I thought you were coming alone. So she knew that there was somebody, and she even called him a white man. So she knew that he had brought somebody. And I don't know if this is significant or not, but we're going to go ahead and mention it. Lily's mom is dating a guy named Charlie. I know, right? That Southern twang. It was so hard to figure it out, and I still didn't figure it out. So hopefully as we go through other episodes, we'll figure out if it's May or Meg. Well, I figure, Jen, I can crochet and watch TV. I can crochet and talk to my friend. I can crochet and hang out with my husband. So I thought I'd be able to do this, but I just wasn't paying attention when I got to the end. And even though it didn't look right, I doubted myself that I messed up on the row before. So, all right. So now we're coming back to where Crystal was talking about earlier. Let me see what she called it. Yeah, she said they get a bunch of cowboys to strip, laugh out loud. So now we're at the part where Vic and Walt have, and of course he talked to Lily's mom, and that's where he found out that Grant was her father, Lily's father. All right. So now we're at the part where Vic and Walt are at the ranch, are at a ranch, and they're having these cowboys stripped to see who these jeans perfectly fit. Because it had to be a cowboy, because after all, it had this really fancy belt buckle on the belt. And so they go down through this entire line of cowboys, and they're all trying on the pants. And you can see that Vic is just, enjoying this. And of course, they get down to the very last cowboy, and the pants fit. And as soon as he puts them on, this other rancher steps up and he says, "I recognize that belt buckle, son. I gave it to you." So then the guy, they now have the guy that the pants belong to. Well, Jen, I'm going to be honest. My husband and I tried to put the closed captioning on the TV here in my studio, and it was not working. So he's got to play around with it because he's my technical, computer technological guru, and see why my closed captioning wasn't working. But I probably could go back to the living room and rewatch it because I know it works in there, or the bedroom. But I don't really watch TV a lot in the bedroom. Not with my job at the hospital. I tend to only sleep in there. Let's see. So it was funny because as Vic is going down the line and she gets to this last guy and the pants fit, I love the fact that she goes, "Well, hello, Cinderella." And the cowboy that the pants belonged to, his name was Colt. Okay, that might be why then. Todd. Jen was saying that she doesn't think that closed captioning works with Netflix. So that might be why it wasn't working.
Yeah. I was actually going to try to see if Netflix itself had closed captioning built into it. That would be the next option.
Okay. So my husband Todd, or as some of y'all call him, Mr. Joyful, he said he was going to check into Netflix and see if it had closed captioning built into it. So if he finds that out, I will let y'all know. So Colt starts talking to Vic and Walt and is telling them about the escort service. And he tells them that anyone who's looking for a girl or a prostitute to be with knows to go talk to the Indian at the Red Pony. And so who do you think Walt automatically thinks the Indian at the Red Pony is? Because we've already talked about one Indian at the Red Pony. Yes, Jen, Henry. So Walt automatically thinks it's Henry. So Walt goes back to the Red Pony and he confronts Henry. And Henry was working on the jukebox. And so Walt basically asked him, what do you think you're up to? And Henry's like, fixing a jukebox. And then he comes out from behind the jukebox and he looks at Walt and he's like, okay, anytime you want, you can crack the smile. Because Walt has already confronted him about the prostitution ring and that he's been told that anyone who wants a hookup needs to go talk to the Indian at the Red Pony. And so Henry comes out from behind the jukebox and he's looking at Walt like, okay, anytime you want, you can crack a smile. Well, he realizes that Walt's not joking. And so, lesson to be learned. Who would have known that in Longmire we could actually learn a life lesson? Don't be so quick to jump and automatically assume that there's only one Indian working at the Red Pony. So Henry's a little bit, taken back with Walt for thinking that. I mean, they've been friends for, I think it said like over 30 years. And so later on, Walt finds out more about this escort service, and that it's in a RV that kind of travels around, and it picks up and moves, stays on location for a while, picks up and moves in another location. And of course, all of that, as he said later, was so people like him couldn't find it. So they discover that there's another Indian working at the Red Pony, and it's a kid. It's a young kid by the name of Navo. And so Navo agrees to meet with Walt in a disclosed location. Well, before that happens, Walt sets up a roadblock to block Henry. And so Henry and Walt, are out of their trucks and they're talking. And Henry's like, all you had to do was just ask to talk with me. You didn't have to set up a roadblock. But I thought it was funny. I titled it Roadblock Apology. And so Walt apologizes to Henry for assuming that he's the only Indian at the Red Pony. And so Henry is trying to talk Walt out of not meeting Navo at this disclosed location. And he says, well, I know that there's no way to talk you out of it. So he says, let me teach you something. Let me teach you the OIT. Any idea what OIT stands for? It stands for Old Indian Trick. Any idea what that Old Indian Trick is? Is to show up to the meeting early. So Walt goes to the disclosed location early. And apparently he went really early because Navo shows up and walks into the cabin, and Walt asks Navo, so why is it that you've shown up 3 hours earlier before your meeting with me? So I was like, wow. He must have had a lot of time to kill. But so anyway, so Navo's showing up 3 hours before their scheduled meeting, and yet Walt was already there. So while they're talking, Navo gets shot. Somebody shoots Navo in the head, obviously to silence him. And so Walt then begins to chase the person that just killed Navo. And when he catches up with him, he made the boy come back and buy the gun. So I don't know if Dan was telling a story and trying to throw Walt off the course of the real story behind the gun, or what, since he's the one that was at the disclosed location and shot Navo. So apparently, though, Walt ends up shooting Dan. So Dan is injured, and Walt catches up to him. Oh no, I'm buffering again. All right. Jen, if you can, let me know when you can see me again. Can you see me again? Okay. What is the last thing you remembered me saying? Anyone? If anyone can let me know what the last thing you heard was. Oh, wow. Really? Okay. So that was a good ways back. Okay. All right. So let's go back then to the part where Navo comes in to the cabin and Walt asks him why he showed up 3 hours early for the meeting. And so what I had pretty much said after that was the fact that if Navo showed up 3 hours before their meeting and Walt was already there, Walt had really come early for that meeting. So as they begin to talk, then Navo is shot in the forehead. So he's been shot and he's dying. He's not going to make it. And so Walt takes after the person who shot Navo. And that person then begins shooting at Walt. And so Walt begins shooting back, all the while chasing after this person. And eventually he catches up with the person, and Walt has injured this person. He has actually shot this person. So this person is bleeding. And it comes to find out that this person is Dan. And so I don't know the role that Dan's going to play because they've only shown him twice. They've shown him right now where Walt has caught up with him after shooting and killing Navo. But it showed him earlier in the episode when Walt took the bullets in the gun to the pawn shop, and he was looking to see if anyone, had pawned that gun recently or had bought it. And Dan was sharing with him that there was a gun that a boy had brought in and sold to him. But when his dad on the reservation, Indian reservation, found out that he'd sold it, the dad made him come back and buy it back. And that's all that it showed. And I don't know if Dan was telling the truth at that time in the pawn shop, or if he was just coming up with a story and a lie to kind of throw Walt, in his investigation. Because later on we find Dan, the pawn shop owner, as the one who killed Navo and has been now shot by Walt. Now, I don't know if I'll do this every week, but I'm thinking about hashtagging like one sentence out of each episode. And so if I do that, then we'll see if it works out. But this week we're going to hashtag a line. And so Dan was asking Walt to call for help because he was bleeding to death. And Walt was like, I will once you answer my questions. So Dan answers all the questions that Walt asked, and then he's like, and Walt goes to walk away, and Dan's like, well, what about the help? And Walt says, I don't have a cell phone. Which through the beginning part of the episode was really funny because Vic was constantly getting on him about not ever being able to be reached because he doesn't have a cell phone. And so it was quite funny when he went to turn and leave Dan, and he's like, huh, I don't have a cell phone, so he can't call for help. So anyway, all right. And part of the questions that he was asking Dan was, where is Lily? And he does tell Walt where Lily's at. She's off of Route 43, and she is in the next state. And so if anyone's great with geography, what would be the next state closest to where they are in Wyoming? I'll give you a hint. It starts with an M. Anybody have any ideas? Yes, Jen. Lily was found in Montana. So the only thing I have left from that episode, they showed it twice. Twice in the episode, they would kind of pan over to like what looked like flashbacks, and it would show Longmire or Walt's back, and his back had a ton of scars on him, and it showed an Indian woman like soothing his wounds. So my question for us to find out, will it be in next week's 2 episodes? I don't know. But how did Longmire get the scars on his back? So that's going to be one of our, I guess, outstanding questions. And well, we kind of know a little bit now about how Walt's wife died. And that was the 2 outstanding unanswered questions from this episode that they eluded for us, but they didn't answer. Which, even though Crystal shared some with us, she said there's still a twist that we don't know about. So we still have yet to figure out how Walt's wife passed away and how he obtained the scars on his back. So maybe, hopefully, we'll learn more in episode 2 and 3 next week. But anybody have anything they want to share about that? Oh, well, don't tell us. Don't tell us, Jen. She said her husband told her the answer. So, anybody have anything they want to share on it? On what we've discussed? And Jen, you know how we were talking about when we watch Call the Midwife, that we'll have to do like the midwife blanket? I will brainstorm over the next week or 2. Oh, you said you remembered after he told you. Okay. But I don't know. We'll see if we can, I don't know, come up with some kind of Longmire project. Like I said, give me some time to think about it. Just because I've got so much going on with my, already Fun Day Mondays and Wednesday on the hooks. But maybe we'll do something that represents like the Indian reservation. So give me some time to research and think. I mean, we've got 6 seasons. Oh, we got a lot. And so, yeah. And then next time when we start Call the Midwife, what we'll probably do is go ahead. I still have that cup on my desk here with all the other movie names in it. And when we start Call the Midwife, we'll go ahead and select the next one. And maybe I can kind of do like a little bit of research into what that series is about, and we come up with a project that we can do with that series. So wouldn't that be fun if we actually incorporate projects? And what I could do, that's what I was thinking about, was some type of Indian Navajo blanket with all those like bright colors. I don't know if you saw the kind of Southwestern Aztec hoodie that I made for my middle son, the Marine. But what I ended up doing is I crocheted the different colors, and then I went back and kind of did like whip stitching, but like in cross stitch form, and created this like kind of Indian pattern on it. And so we could even do something like that. I have seen a Navajo type blanket, and I have a couple actually in my house, but I'm really good about seeing something. Like I can look at something and then I can turn around and draw it if I'm looking at it. And it's the same way. Like when I look at something, I just have, it's kind of like this Elvis blanket. Like I drew out what I envisioned, and now I'm trying to, from my drawings, put it into a blanket. And so maybe I can do something like that. I mean, even looking at this placemat that I use, and let me see, I'm gonna end up moving you a little bit to try and get it. Sorry. You see my other camera back there. But, well, I just pulled it out and wrinkled it. But, you know, I mean, a Navajo blanket has wider stripes and a lot more colors, but something even to this effect, you know, which we could even make placemats. But anyway, give me your ideas, and maybe we'll get some more feedback as well in the replay. So that would be awesome. All right, I got us all bamboozled here. So, and I'm a little bit out of my arm reach because I didn't want y'all sitting right on top of me. Okay. So, but that would be cool as we go through these series, if we're actually making something. Like the tutorial can happen, you know, in the week before, so you can kind of get an idea and start working on something. But we'll figure it out. So give me like a couple weeks and we'll see what we can come up with. But that would be so much fun. And if for some reason we don't get it started in this first season, we still have 5 other seasons, and there's a lot of episodes in each season. So that would be a lot of fun. Well, I know not everyone got to either refresh themselves or Well, Jen, just, go at your pace, hun. I don't imagine it'll be something that we would go through quickly to begin with. Sorry. I got excited about moving along on my project. It would be done in baby steps. But I am definitely getting more and more excited about our crochet and movie night. And if anyone has any other suggestions, please feel free to let me know. I don't always want to make all the decisions. And if you want your responses to be confidential, just email me. And in fact, I've had several people email me about their thoughts and opinions on some of the other live shows that I'm doing. And so when that happens, after I've conversed with you, I'll see if you're okay with me not mentioning your name, but asking the question as a whole. For example, I do a Bible study at 4:00 on Fridays. And last week I had 2 people who mentioned something to me, and I apologize that I forgot about it. But then after today's episode, it's my dog rattling her chain, excuse me. I got another email, and I was using the King James version in the scriptures, and they asked me if I would strictly use the NIV. So before I came on to this episode, I actually went and sent out a little note and just asked as a whole what people prefer. And so same thing with any of my shows. If you have a question and you don't want your identity to be out there, then just send me an email. And that way, again, that conversation is strictly private. It'll be between you and I. I'll never reveal who you are or what you asked unless you want me to, as far as the question goes. If you're emailing me, that's just a given to me that you want your identity to remain confidential. So okay. All right. Well, this has actually been fun. And I know it'll be a lot more exciting, kind of like trivia, so to speak, when everybody has watched the episodes. So when I ask the questions, it won't be me sitting there just asking questions and giving answers. We'll have a little bit of play and feedback. So it'll be fun. So you'll have to make sure, though, you're watching the episodes really close, because you never know what I might ask. So, but it'll be a lot of fun. Oh, Janice, thank you. Well, if you will, on the comment under that video or in an email, if you'll send me your preference about whether you prefer me reading from a King James or an NIV. So, because I have both and I study both when I prepare my notes. So I pretty much had always read King James Version. That's what I grew up on and as a missionary. But eventually in my journey as a missionary, I did switch over to the NIV when I became a youth minister, just because it was easier for the kids to understand. And then I led 3 Bible studies on my last missionary journey, and 2 of them were to senior citizens, and one was to a senior citizen, and 2 were to I was just meeting in an apartment complex, and anyone could come. So it was like all denominations were there. And so I did use the NIV just simply because it was a lot easier for people to understand, because a lot of the people that were coming to the Bible studies did not grow up in church, did not grow up reading the Bible. So anyway, and it will be, Jen, it'll be fun. And as more people learn that we're doing this movie night, then hopefully we'll have more people joining. I know tonight, a lot of people are probably over at the Triple C and Joe show because it is Dana's birthday today, and they are celebrating her birthday on live. In fact, I'm going to check in with my husband and see if he is still awake. And if he is, then I will hang out and watch some TV with him and just spend some time with him. But if he's not, then I will possibly go pop back over there on their show and just hang out with them for a while and be blessed. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So hashtag for the week, our little line is, I don't have a cell phone. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I wish I didn't either. Mine stays pretty busy, but that was funny. That was like a classic line. I loved it when he turned around and said, I don't have a cell phone. So nonchalantly. But anyway, so next week we'll come back and we will have our Q&A for episode 2 and 3 of season 1. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming and hanging out and crocheting. I hope you got a lot more done than I did. At least I got to do a little, frog a little, do a little. And we will meet again at 9 o'clock next Friday night. All right. Well, good night, everyone. Have a great week. Be joyful. Stay crafty in your own way. Make your own joyful creations. All right. Bye.